Hello, Facebook. Are we live? Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm so delighted to be here with you today. I'm so excited for this live stream. Okay, let me make sure that it's live in the group before we go on. And if you're watching the replay, say hello. I would love to give you a shout out. And if you are here live, I actually would love to know where you guys tuning in from. We've seen a lot of people coming from into the group from different places, different avenues, different countries. So I want to connect with you guys. Okay, here I am. I see it. And let me go live here on Instagram. So exciting! All right, what is up, everyone? Oh my God, you guys, today's training is gonna be so good. We are gonna talk about all the lessons, maybe not all, because otherwise we'll be here forever. The lessons that I learned in therapy that helped me create 90% sales conversions in my sales conversations. And now that I don't even do sales calls, how these principles are actually helping me immensely, or how they help me immensely in not having to use a sales team in order to scale. So most coaching companies, they have, they get tired of, you as an entrepreneur taking calls and then they hire a sales team. And I didn't really want to do that because that's another, just more team, more people to manage. So hi, Chloe, good to see you. So I would love to hear where everyone's tuning in from. I am here in Marina del Rey, and this will be the last live stream that I do from this house because I'm going to move out. There's some mold, and they're going to be doing remediation. And so I am going to be out of here for a month, and then I'm going to come back in December. And I am sad, but I'm also delighted because I've been feeling so lethargic that I'm like, I just need to get the fuck out of here. Okay, my love. So the first thing that I want to ask you is, what is the first thing that comes up to your mind when you think about the word sales? What is that? What is like the correlation, the relationship that you have with sales? Because what I have found is that, you know, this topic is so important because a lot of coaches just think that sales are pushy, that you don't want to be the pushy person, you don't want to make people uncomfortable, you don't want to make people think that you're a bad person because you want people to think good things about you, right? Like you don't want them to feel like you're taking from them. And so what happens is that when you have a suboptimal relationship with the word sales and with your sales process, what happens is that you avoid telling people the truth. You avoid telling people the truth about what you see. You avoid feeling secure within yourself when it comes to holding a sales conversation. And then the other person feels unsafe. The other person doesn't feel like you're solid, like you've got it, like that you are the right coach for them because they don't feel held. They don't feel like you are solid within yourself. And what I want to do today is give you a glimpse on how you can shift that mentality and how you can shift the way you see that process so that next time that you hop on your sales call, you really are able to get into a different energetic space and be able to hold a room in a way where people feel safe with you and they feel more convicted and more secure in saying yes. Okay. So, okay. I want to tell you about how I came to this realization. So, when I was in my former relationship, I was doing therapy with my ex boyfriend, who's amazing, and I love him so much, and we have so much love for each other. And I guarantee that everything that I learned from therapy for a year of therapy, from a year of therapy, helped us just have such a healthy breakup. Like, people don't break up in healthy ways, but we just have so much love for each other. He even helped me move from one city to another. Once I asked him like to take a break, and we just have so much love for each other. And so at the time, before we kind of decided that we were not for each other, there were a lot of things that were not working in our relationship. Like he didn't feel valued, I didn't feel fulfilled, I didn't feel seen, he didn't feel seen. It felt like we were just not hearing each other. And that happens a lot in sales conversations. When you are in a container, when you're on a call with somebody, you might feel like you need to convince them that what you have is really amazing. You might feel like they don't get you. They might feel unseen by you. They may feel like they cannot be vulnerable with you. They may feel like you want something from them that you're taking from them. And the whole thing just, it's like all unspoken. Nobody is gonna say, hey, I feel unseen by you right now, or hey, I feel attached to the outcome of this sales call. Like, nobody's saying these things, but they are feeling it, right? Like, the feeling of feeling attached to a sale. The feeling of looking at that call booked on your calendar and being like, shit, I really want this person to close. I really want this next client. The feeling of attachment. The feeling of attachment in a relationship when you're like, I want my person to do this. I want my person to do that. And if they don't do that, I'm going to feel disappointed. So the dynamics that we experience in our relationships, let's say romantic relationships, are very similar to the dynamics that we experience that play out in a sales conversation. So for me, when I started doing therapy, my whole world changed. I changed as a woman. I changed as a human being. So everything in my sales conversations just elevated. Everything in my sales conversations went from being like a script and a sale when I need to close a client, I need to convince them. Like I just, or like that feeling that I had just completely dissipated because I was able to apply the principles that I'm going to teach you today that help me just see sales and interact with people in a completely different way. And that's what I teach inside of the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind. This is what my clients do in order to go from never having done a sales call because they don't like it, or they've had bad experiences or whatever, to enjoying the sales process and to feeling like, oh my God, this is the process that I've always dreamed of. Because if you're here, you're a coach who doesn't want to feel pushy, who wants to feel aligned with the way that you hold your sales conversations. And that's what I help you guys do inside of the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind, which, by the way, right now, if you join now as an early bird, remember, you get access to my higher level mastermind instantly, so we can start coaching you right now. You don't have to wait until next year when we start the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind in February. You can get literally 3 months or 3 months of coaching for free. So you and I literally can get down to coaching right away. You get $1,000 off and you have an extended payment plan if you want to do that. So it's very accessible. It's the best time to join. My clients who join early just get the most amazing results because they have so much time with the content. They have so much more time with me. So if you want to not just end the year in a great way, but really start next year and not have to wait until February until we start, this is the time to join. Make sure you go to the link in my bio or just send me a message with the word magnetize, and then we can chat and see if this is the right fit for you. But anyway, so today what I want to do is just help you change the relationship that you have with sales so that your business can just increase in your conversion, so that you can help more people and so that people can feel more certain about taking the leap with you, okay? So here's what I want to say. The mistakes that people make when it comes to sales is that, number one, we feel like we go attached to a result, and the mentality that, oh, Kiana says do it, is one of the best masterminds I've ever been. Oh, Kiana, I love you. You're so sweet. Yeah, we're crushing it in the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind. It's so amazing. And momentum is coming. Oh my God. Okay. So the mistakes that people make is we go with the mentality of, I want this client to sign with me, right? Like, I want this client to sign with me. So there's an unspoken attachment there, right? There's an attachment that, or like basically we feel like we're taking from somebody, like we need to grab onto somebody, right? That's not the vibe, okay? I'm gonna tell you what to do instead and how to change that feeling in your body and how to show up in a more powerful way. But that's one of the mistakes that people make. The second thing that we do is we go in there thinking about ourselves. I don't want to be rejected. I want this client. I don't know what to say. Oh my God, me. And so we focus all the time on us, right? And what our world. And what happens when we focus on us is that where the focus is all coming here. So let's say you're having a conversation with somebody, then you don't have the room to really be present for them because you're just thinking about yourself and whether this is going well or not, or whether this person is going to say yes or not. And you're like, oh, they're expressing interest. Their eyes are saying yes. They're nodding. They're giving me some signs. Okay, so I'm going to skip some of the process because I feel like they're in. And so you don't honor the integrity of the sales process, of the sales called flow. Ooh. And so then you don't do the whole, you just break the integrity of the process. So when I teach my clients this soulful sales process, it's a very intentional framework that I created after doing therapy so that you can create connection with the human on the other side and have a completely different conversation than just selling them a product or a service. So it's a place where you open up vulnerability, intimacy, and you are actually seeing the sales conversation as one of the most vulnerable and intimate conversations you can ever have with anybody, because they're telling you their dreams, they're telling you their desires. This is something that they probably have never admitted to themselves fully or said out loud. This is something that maybe they feel foolish for saying that they want. They feel ridiculous thinking that they can have this thing that they really desire, whether it's the body, the business, the clarity, the certainty, the confidence, the money, whatever. They're thinking, I've tried everything. Like, I just don't think that it's for me. Like, and this might be the last conversation that they might need to have because you are the right person for them. So when we understand that this conversation is an intimate experience for them, right? They may not even admit what they're saying to you to their partner. Then we get to really honor that this is beyond a transaction. This is a space where we create safety, and the safety has to come from us. So we cannot rely on the person on the other side to be a yes or to give us some signals for us to feel safe. It's in our ability to enroll this person or work with them, because this safety has to come from us. So when I was with my ex, I remember always seeking for him to give me the space to feel safe in the relationship and me sharing. And I was just waiting there kind of like with my arms closed. I'm like, are you going to make it feel safe? Are you going to give me signs that you love me? Are you going to give me signs that you're here to fix things? And if he didn't, then I'd be like, okay, well, goodbye. And that's what happens in sales conversations. We wait for the person to like be open and a yes, and we expect them to be a yes. And when they have a little hesitation, when they're maybe not fully open, we just don't know how to handle it. And we shut down, and then we avoid rejection. And then we're like, okay, this person doesn't want this. I'm uncomfortable. I don't know what to do. I'm going to go. And then you hang up the phone. Give me a one if you have been there. Like, please, let's just be honest with ourselves. I know I have been there. Give me a one in the comments if you have been in that moment where you're like, I don't feel like this person really gets me. I don't feel like they really want this. So I'm just going to just leave the conversation goodbye, right? I want to hear what's the feeling that you guys get in your body when that happens. Like, I just want you to tune in and think like, what is that feeling that comes up in my body? Is it like a feeling of like anxiety? Is it a feeling of rejection? Is it a feeling of like anticipatory rejection? Is it a feeling of like unsafety? Is it a feeling of like, is your ego saying like, fuck this, let's just move on? Like, want to hear more about what comes up for you? Because here's what I learned in therapy, that all of the things that show up in moments of discomfort come from our inner child. Is our inner child not feeling safe? And you guys, I gotta tell you that I broke all the marketing rules. I broke all the motherfucking marketing rules when I went dry on the sales calls, when I stopped doing sales calls. And after doing so many, probably over 1,000 sales calls in my life and getting so many rejections and getting so many yeses at $50,000, $100,000, $120,000, or like $2,000. Like, I've gone on a journey on sales. I learned that at the end, like really towards this, when I was doing the therapy with my ex, and I learned so much that at the end of the day, the fears that people have, the reactions people have, always come from the insecurities their inner child is still holding onto. And what we are always afraid of is that we are not going to get the results, that people are not going to care for us, that we're just going to be abandoned, that we cannot trust ourselves, that we are not that good, we're not good enough to succeed at this. And when you understand that, you are able to hold space for the person and not make it a big deal when they are kicking and screaming inside. Meaning when they're like giving you this vibe that like they're just like unsure, they don't have the money, or they're like, I don't know if this is right, or whatever resistance, I need to talk to my partner, whatever resistance is coming up for them, it's not what they're saying that is the actual thing. It's what's underneath it all. And when you are able to see the other person as a human that has fears, as a little kid that just wants to be loved, that wants to be a good girl, a good boy, that wants to be happy, that wants to feel accepted, that wants to feel competent, that wants to feel safe in someone's container. When you understand that, then you see them differently, and then you don't react to their words the same way. You stay strong, you stay convicted, you don't make their objections shake you. You don't need to exit the call. What you can do is say, hey, I'm noticing that you're feeling XYZ, whatever you see. I'm noticing that you're feeling a little uncomfortable right now. Am I off on that? Or if you're feeling a little uncomfortable, like what's coming up for you? Right? What are you feeling right now? And then you open up the space for this person to actually get vulnerable with you, instead of letting them say, I don't know if this is the right time. This is so good. Like, I love this offer. I'm like, yes, yeah, this is great. But right now is not the right time. Okay, cool. That makes total sense. Timing plays a role in this world. We have time. It's a resource. And I'm just curious, is there anything else that you're feeling right now? Because I'm noticing that you're feeling this kind of conflict within you, like you want this, but then there's this time element. Like, if you were to check in with yourself, what's coming up for you there? What's underneath that fear? Or what's the fear underneath that? And then you just let it be and just see what comes up for them, right? So I'm gonna go into, I just kind of like fast forwarded. I just went way ahead of my planned out, bullet points. So I'm gonna just go in order in the things that you can do differently. Okay. So I'll just recap. Okay. So naturally, like the same fears that we have when we make a buying decision show up from the fears that we have as our inner child shows up in our romantic relationships, right? Like, we're afraid that things won't work. We're afraid that we cannot trust ourselves. We're afraid that the other person's not going to care for us as much as we want to be cared for. We're afraid of the unknown. What if this doesn't work, right? And so we want to shift all of that. Okay, so the first thing is, before I wrote this down, so I want to make sure that I get all the 7 points to shift your relationship and get 90% conversion. So before the process begins, right, we need to understand the difference between attachment and commitment. So before you go on the call, you want to understand that you want to stand in a place of commitment instead of attachment to the sale. What do I mean by that? What is the difference between attachment and commitment? This is a very powerful distinction. You want to be committed to your client's vision and be a steward for their vision and their desires and their goals and what they want, instead of being attached to the sale. Does that make sense? Give me a yes in the comments if this makes sense, or if you don't understand the difference. We want to, because this is how the whole being pushy gets solved. You do not need to be pushy. Being pushy is just an interpretation of being committed to your client's vision. You don't have to be pushy when you're feeling committed. You feel pushy when you're feeling needy and attached. So if you shift the feeling from I need this sale to close to there's an abundant number of people that want to work with me and like I'm here for it, and I know that if it's not this is the next one, because I'm always creating interest and I am an interesting person. I have value to share with the world, and if it's not this then there's another one. Like when you live in a world of abundance and you're not attached to this person, then you go in committed to their vision and not attached to the sale. So powerful. So powerful. So for me, I'm committed to telling the truth. I'm committed to telling them the truth. So when I used to do sales calls, I opened up with, and this is in the soulful sales process. So if you want to join Magnetize and learn how to create 90% sales conversions, literally this is one of the steps that I take. So when I enter the sales conversation, I ask people, do you want me to be nice or do you want me to be real? I get permission, because I want to be able to tell them the truth about what I see, what patterns I see playing in their lives that are showing up in the conversation. And you don't need to feel pushy when you have asked for consent, when you have asked for consent about supporting them in helping them see what you see. So if you see a pattern running the show as a coach, then you can say, hey, can I share something that I see right now? Do I have your permission to tell you the truth? You know how you told me that you wanted me to be true, to tell you the truth instead of just being nice? Or if people tell you, I just want you to be nice, which is 100% of people that I've asked that question, they're like, no, I want you to tell me the truth, right? When you have permission, then you are able to show up for them in a way where there's no pushiness. You're just telling them the truth about what you see. Hey, I'm noticing that after having this conversation with you, you tend to put yourself second. It's like everyone else goes first. Your parents, your family, your kids, your spouse. It's like you are putting everyone ahead of you. And then where do you land? And I'm wondering, how else does that show up in your life? Where else are you delaying putting yourself first? I'm curious how that lands for you. Right? Do you see the difference? I am not being pushy. I'm being committed to telling the person the truth about what I see. And then opening them up to see themselves in a way that maybe they have never seen themselves before. And that is a gift in itself. Whether they say yes or no to your package, this conversation can be the most transformational moment for them. As long as you stay in commitment versus attachment. Okay? Is this landing? The difference between commitment and attachment is everything. And I could go on and on about this. I have a whole lesson inside of my program on this, but I'm going to move on to the next one. Oh, another one where I see people being attached or committed is when people start hearing the prospects, stories about why they can't do it right now. And then you get into this, like you believe it and you actually, the person stays more committed to their circumstances and their vision, and you do too. So you hear them say, no, right now, because I have all these problems. And I always think they're so committed to their current reality. So I ask them, are you committed to staying where you're at? Are you committed to your current circumstances? Or are you open to being committed? Are you attached to your current circumstances, or are you open to being committed to your vision? Where do you want to be? Because I'm not going to push you. If you want to stay where you're at, like totally cool, but I'm here to elevate you into being committed to where you want to be. So where would you like to go here? You give permission. Leontine says, I love that. I'm so happy you love that. Okay, I'm moving on to the next one, how to do differently, okay? So I think I actually already did this in the previous question. I kind of just do a little bit of I just get myself so into it. So number 2 was setting the container and leading the way for the other person to know what your intention is for the call. So this is really important in the beginning of the call, because you want to set the tone about how you want this to go so that people feel safe. So when you open the call, you simply say, hey, my intention for this call is to really get to know you and your business, or know you and your relationship, you and your life, whatever it is, really understanding you, where you're at, where you want to be, and what really is getting in the way of you getting where you want to be. And if I feel like I'm the best person to help you, great, I'll share ways for us to work together. But if I feel like it's not the right fit, I'll also tell you the truth, and I'm happy to share other people that might be a better fit. Does that feel good for you? You're setting the tone. You're setting the tone for the container. If you just go hop on and you have this covert, like some coaches teach this like covert strategy of like just offer a free coaching session and then like at the end turn it into like a sale. That doesn't work. You're going to be getting on a lot of calls and giving away your free time, and then you're going to be coaching. And by the way, you want to coach because coaching gives a false sense of satisfaction, and people are going to walk away thinking, oh, thank you for the coaching session. I am just going to go and implement, and I'll let you know how it goes. So free coaching sessions that covertly turn into a sale are not effective. You want to actually have a sales process. Oh, my Instagram connection is okay. There we go. You want to have a sales process where people know what they're getting themselves into. You want to have a pre-qualification process where people actually already know you, like you, trust you. They know your method, they know your testimonials, and I help you build that inside of Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind so that you don't waste your time, so that you pre-qualify people, so that they show up motivated, pre-qualified, and just like soulmate clients. Okay. So set the tone for the container. Don't go like the expectations need to be clear from the beginning. They need to know that you're going to make an offer if you feel like it's the right fit. And by the time that you make an offer, so at the end of the call, if you feel like, okay, this person is the right fit for me, actually, let me go into the next point, because then the offer goes later. Okay. Thing number 3 is create connection with the other person. Okay, so connection is the most important thing you want to have in a sales conversation. If you don't have connection, meaning if the other person doesn't feel connected to you, you guys are going to be like a couple that doesn't hear each other, but they're talking to each other, but they're not hearing each other. So the way to create connection is to go in there with the 2 things that create connection is curiosity and active listening. So you want to be curious about the other person. You want to ask more questions than you talk, and you want to be actually present to what they're saying and going deeper in their answers. If people are giving you like a little bit of a vague answer, you get to be like, okay, interesting. Tell me more about that. Go deeper. Okay, so why does that matter to you? Why is that important to you? What else have you tried before that hasn't worked? Why do you think that didn't work for you? Why do you think things are going to be different now? And my favorite part, this is what most coaches don't understand about the dynamic in a sales conversation. Most coaches go in there thinking, I hope they choose me. I hope they buy from me. I hope they pay me. I hope they choose me. What? You are here to also decide, do I want to choose this person as a client? Do I feel good? Do I feel like this client will be an amazing client for me? Do I choose this person? Not just are they going to choose me? When you go, this is leaning back energy. This is a whole concept that I teach in my mastermind, but I'm not going to go into the whole thing. You got to lean back, and the way that you do that is quite literally in your like physiology. My internet in my phone is like spotty, and I just froze completely on Instagram. Okay, am I back? Hello? Oh my God, imagine if this live stream totally just... Okay, are we back, you guys? Facebook, give me like a minute. We're getting there, but Instagram is giving me like a whole moment. Okay, back. We're back? What is happening? Okay, there we go. So the way that you do that is in your physiology. You literally lean back, right? And then you ask questions that illuminate how this client would show up. You future pace, right? Like this is the same thing with sales objections. You just got to future pace to what would be ideal for you in a coaching, in a client. So questions that allow you to create that dynamic where it's not like one is choosing the other. Both people are choosing each other. Both people are on an equal level, right? Hey, so how do you normally show up in moments of stress? How do you show up in moments when things get hard? Because I had to tell you the truth. Some of this journey is going to be hard, or there will be parts of this journey where you're going to feel uncomfortable. So I'm curious, as a client, how do you normally show up, or what do you normally do in moments where you feel the uncomfortable? How do you show up in moments when you don't feel, when you feel discomfort? And then you let them say things, you let them respond. Why is this important? Because you're also setting the tone about how you expect your standards of how do you expect people to show up in your presence, in your containers, right? Otherwise, if you don't do this, then people are not going to know how to show up in your containers, and then you're going to end up having people that are not the vibe, right? But why? It's not because of them, it's not their fault. It's your responsibility to set the tone and the vibe. And we do this by asking some of these questions. Another question is, why do you think I'm the best coach for you? Why do you meet? Why are you compelled to work with me instead of other coaches? Right? You want to hear that. You want to know why that's important because you want to know what their reasons are, right? If they're like, I don't know, I'm shopping around. You're like, okay, great. Well, let's just complete the conversation here. I would love for you to go and shop around, and then we can come back when you're ready to make a decision, right? Like you want to be in a place of power within yourself, and you want to empower them to be in a place of power too, so that they can make a great decision. And the way that I think about my clients when it comes to when I'm speaking to somebody who is a client, a potential client, I always see them in the greater light. I always see them as powerful decision makers. I see them as people that know how to make decisions. They know how to make decisions. They come ready to make a decision. And I obviously do a lot of that heavy lifting before they show up on the call, in my pre-qualification process, in my marketing, like all of that. If you guys don't have that, we need to work together. And really, this is the best time to join because you get access to Momentum Mastermind for free, and we can start literally getting you coached on this, and you have access to the Magnetize and Monetize module so that you can implement everything I'm talking about and start converting your sales at a higher conversion rate. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just send me the word magnetize and I'll give you the details of the program. And literally it's the best decision you'll ever make and the last marketing mastermind you'll ever need. Okay. So curiosity and active listening, right? So go in, pin your emotions. I know you're going to feel attached. You're going to feel scarcity. You're going to feel like anxiety. Listen, you got to put a pin on your emotions and you got to stay present with the person. This is how you establish connection and maintain connection with the person. You are not here to be understood. You are here to evaluate, to help them, and to help them understand what you see it's in the way, and then to offer them a solution, not to be attached to them accepting you and choosing you. Okay? Is this resonating? Give me a 2 in the comments, or give me a yes in the comments if this is resonating. And my landlord's coming in, should be here by now, so I gotta wrap this up. Okay. Yeah, so I had one here saying elevate your standards. That's basically what I said before. I could say more about that, but it's basically what I said before. The way you see yourself on the call is equal. You're not trying to, like, you're not here, you're not there. You're both two humans. You're both seeing, hey, is this a fit? I can help you. You are looking for support. Like, is this going to be a fit for both of us? Not like, oh my God, I just hope that I can get the client. Oh my God. That whole energy, you guys, creates a room of unsafety because you don't feel safe in your power. When people don't feel like you're willing to stand committed for their vision, they're going to feel you're weak, like you're a weak foundation, like you are intimidated by them, like you can't hold the room. So that's why it's so important for you to understand that you don't need this client. You don't need this client. There are many more coming. And if this is not it, the next one will be, right? You are here to hold the room for the resistance. So the last thing I have here the second last thing is expect resistance. Don't go in there, even if you have done my program or marketing, if you feel like you're amazing at marketing and you're like, I'm hot shit, whatever, like people just buy from me, like it's, I don't even need to say anything because they just want to be in my energy. Like, I don't even think that way. I still, to this day, having a multi-million-dollar business, I still expect some resistance from people. I'm not cocky or arrogant enough to be like, this person should just buy from me because it's just, they're going to be in my energy. Like, what the fuck? Don't they know who the fuck I am? Like, no. That is being self centered. And remember, connection gets created when we are in the world of the other person. So people can throw at me all the objections they might have. When I was in sales calls, I was like, cool. I'm not like, that doesn't shake me. Like, I'm not like, oh no, they told me that they can't afford it right now. Oh no. Or oh no, the partner object. Oh no. Like, no, I'm like, cool. This is where the coaching begins. This is where a relationship begins, right? Like, I expect them to feel resistance. Why? Because nobody budgets for coaching. Nobody has a budget for coaching. Of course, it's not going to be in the budget. Who? Nobody taught us to budget for. They taught us to budget for university, for bills, for the mortgage, for fucking this and that, and a holiday and this and that. Everyone's budgeting for everything, but nobody's budgeting for coaching. The fuck? So of course they're not gonna have the money. So they're gonna think I don't have the budget for this. I don't know how to fit in my budget. Not a problem. I totally get it. But when you are centered within yourself and you're secure and you know nothing's going to shake me, I'm totally here for whatever their world is. I can hold the space because I've got me. I don't need to freak out, right? Then you're able to, with curiosity and active listening, ask, okay, cool, I'm curious. And then you ask questions about it, right? Like, have you ever budget? Do you have a budget for coaching? Because I don't think most people in the world do. It makes sense that you don't haven't budgeted for this, right? What do you and they're like, oh, I just need to look at my finances. Okay, cool, that makes sense. You can totally go ahead and look at your finances. And I'm curious, what do you think you're gonna find? What do you think you're gonna find? Because what people do is they give you false responses, or responses that feel like come from a reactive space to get away from the call. And if you do let them go because you feel uncomfortable in the moment, what you're missing out of, what both of you are missing out on, is the ability to have a real conversation about what they're afraid of, right? So what they do is they try to end the call, say, oh, let me just figure this out, because they don't like to feel uncomfortable. Nobody likes to feel uncomfortable. This is why you get to create a space of comfort and safety. And in that way, you know they're trying to think about something in the future. You just bring the future into the present. I need to talk to my husband. Okay, what do you think your husband would say? I need to look at my bank account. What do you think your bank account would show you? I need more time to think about it. Okay, what do you think that your higher self would say? Like, you always can bring the future into the present so that they can actually sit with that, because their inner knowing knows already. They're just afraid to face the truth, whether it's a yes or whether it's a no, right? And you are not here to get a yes. You are here to get the truth, right? Because if it's a no, great, but at least we're not walking away leaking energy and like, well, it's a maybe, they're thinking about it, they're looking at their phone. All that energy leaking and leaking and leaking, and then they ghost you, and then you're leaking energy and you're not sure and they're not sure. Fuck all of that. You need your energy. They need their energy. It's an honorable thing for both of you to reach a decision, right? And if you can't reach a decision, make sure that you close the container by saying, let's follow up, let's have a conversation in 48 hours, and then we can complete it. Whether you're a yes or a no, it doesn't matter. Let's just honor our container, our conversation, and make sure that you show up on the call. And then we just continue, we just get to a decision, right? You can do it, look at your finances, whatever it is. But make sure you don't let it just leak out, because that actually is energetically depleting for you and for them, right? There's nothing more power. Like, our decision making power is the most important power that we have as human beings. That's what makes us human. We can make decisions. When we are leaking that, when we're not strong in that, it's like we're leaking our power away, right? Like, you're thinking about that constantly. It's in the back of your mind, and you cannot make other decisions because you have that in your space. So be willing to hold the room and say, hey, look, I'm not attached to you working with me or not. All I'm seeing is that you want to create this result. I feel very confident in my ability to help you. And I'm noticing that there's this resistance, this fear, and I want to give it a voice. because that fear, it wants to be heard. Are you open to doing that? Are you open to sitting here with me for a moment and just explore together what is coming up for you? Right? That is so powerful. What kind of salesperson does that? What kind of salesperson holds the room for the real truth to show up in a safe space? For them to be like, yeah, like I have money, I have savings. It's just that I'm afraid that, I'm gonna fail. I've tried so much. I'm afraid that this is gonna be just one more thing that I do that won't work. Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing that. Like that's beautiful. Are you open to exploring that? And then you can go and explore it. Like, I'm curious, something that I would ask is, when was the last time that you did something that made you feel like incompetent? Where does that come from? Right? And that's when you really get to the bottom of where their real core feeling of or fear is. And this is an art, the art of holding space and exploring these things with your people. It's an art, right? But it's a skill that you can learn. It's not something I was born with. I'm telling you, I did a lot of therapy. This helped me hold myself and feel so secure within myself that I wasn't threatened by what my ex-boyfriend was saying. I could hold a space for him, and I could get curious and understand his world. And therefore, I'm curious with my clients, with my potential clients, and I could understand their world and get curious and understand that there's a human in there that's just feeling some fear. And I have the ability to connect with that part of them and let that part of them connect with their present self. And from there, they can make a decision. So, like, not for the longest time, but for the last part of my business, when I was doing sales calls, we would always end up doing inner child like connection. Like, I'm like, okay, close your eyes. Let's give a voice to that fear. What is the message that it has for you? Right? And if you were to ask your future self, what decision would you make about this today? And then let them make the decision. And 9 times out of 10, this is why it's 90% conversion rate, not 100. 9 times out of 10, when you guide people to feel safe within themselves, and you don't have an agenda, you really are there for them to really hold, to be held and explore. They choose from their future, and their future wants them to evolve. And the next step for them is to work with you. Or maybe the next step is for them to do something else. But 9 times out of 10, when people feel so safe with you, they choose you as their coach. And there goes my Instagram again. I'm glad Facebook got the whole thing. Okay, that's what I have for you guys. I have one more thing, but is this resonating? Give me a 2 in the comments if this is resonating, if this approach is resonating. What questions do you have about it? What questions do you have about it? If there's anyone that wants to ask any questions, I am here for you. Instagram, you got cut off. So what I was saying is that when you create that environment, he got cut off again. When you create that environment of safety, people are just naturally going to want to choose you as their guide, right? Jessica says, yes, this resonates. Awesome. Any questions that you have about sales, any questions that you have about how to handle objections? I have a couple of minutes. My landlord hasn't arrived. Oh yeah, how to know, and then I have this last thing that I said is how to not be convincing. You're not convincing when you're just showing them what is true for them. Like, they just get to make the decision on their own. You get to be a stand, right? Like, I am such a stand for their vision. I don't buy people's stories. Like, in a sales conversation, only 2 things can happen. They elevate into their vision, or you buy into their stories. Those are the 2 things that can happen, right? So if you're buying into their stories, then what's going to happen is that they're going to go away and not get help. If you don't help them and get committed to their vision, get bought into their vision, then they're gonna not progress. And that's our job as coaches, right? So when you don't have to be convincing when you are really committed to helping them see their patterns and the possibility of their vision and how you are gonna be there to support them. Okay? Okay, my landlord's here, you guys. So I gotta go. All right, I love you all. If you guys want support around this, if you are feeling like, oh my God, I want this process to be the way that I enroll clients at a high ticket level, because this is really what is required. Like, this is the process that I do in my sales page. Like, I don't do sales calls anymore. I just literally, everything I learned, I just broke all the marketing rules and I did this video on in my page that you can literally check out, and I designed it based on what I know. This I guess trauma informed process. I don't know. I don't want to call it trauma informed because it's just informed based on my own experience in having so many sales conversations. But if you want this approach to work for you so that you don't have to do the heavy lifting of trying to convince and just feel like you dread sales conversations, like, I want to invite you to apply to the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind, because inside, in 3 months, I help you clarify your message so that you can attract premium clients. And part of the process that I guide you through is how to have these sales conversations, how to pre-qualify people in a way that is going to help them feel safe with you, feel connected with you, even before they get on the call, so that your call feels easier, feels lighter, and I give you the understanding, the art, like teach you the art of holding the space for the clients that are ready to be a yes for you, but maybe they're like leaking out because you don't know how to hold the space. Okay, so make sure that you go to the link in my bio to apply. And if you have any questions about whether this is the right fit for you, send me a message with the word magnetize, or drop the word magnetize in this recording, and I'll be more than happy to chat with you and see if this would be the next best step for you. Right now, as I said, we have three bonuses. One, you get instant access to Momentum Mastermind, which is my higher level mastermind, which is $25K. You get free access to that until we start the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind in February. So you get like 6 months of coaching instead of 3. You get $1,000 off for being an early bird. And if you want to pay in a payment plan, we have an extended payment plan of 7 months. So it's ridiculously amazing. And if you pay in full, you get a coaching call with me. And in these coaching calls, literally, you guys, we fix problems that people have had for years. In 30 minutes, I'm like, we got this. I can do in 1 hour what most people take 3 months doing. So I'm fast because it doesn't, it's not about like time, right? It's about precision. So if you want precision, apply for the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind. How would you handle my husband said no? Ooh, that's a great one, but I'm going to go now because my lender's here. So, listen, this is what I tell you. The only reason why your husband would say no is because of the way that you're showing up in the conversation with your husband. Ooh. So, did you show up to the conversation from an energy of asking for permission or asking for support? Because that's everything. So as a coach, we get to empower. Let's say that the person has to go away and talk to their husband. Great. We can coach on that and why. And let's say that after you coach, you're like, okay, still you will make like business, financial decisions together and whatever. There's some people that do that. Cool. So let's talk about how you're going to approach this conversation, because the way that your husband wasn't here, your husband doesn't know what we just talked about. And so he's only going to think, oh my God, money's going out. Oh my God, you're investing in more things. Oh my God, you haven't gotten the results yet. Or maybe, I don't know, whatever. And he doesn't understand what the conversation we just had. So the energy that you go into is, are you asking for permission or are you asking for support? You want to go to the conversation asking for support, meaning having decided that this is for you, that this is what you're doing. And this is what happened to one of my clients yesterday. She signed up for my private coaching, and she was like, oh my God, my husband's not going to like it that I put it on the credit card. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then I coached her on that very briefly. And then she was like, oh my God, I think I'm going to need some more coaching on this for the conversation with my husband. Turns out that she went and had the conversation with the husband, and she was so rooted and grounded in her decision that the husband was like, great. But in the past, he's been like not a supporter. So if you want support in really nailing down how to do this, let's get you in Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind. But really, it's all about helping your clients understand how to have the conversation, asking for support, not going in there asking for permission. All right, I love you all so much. I will see you next week, and have an amazing rest of your day, my loves.